Noah Thomas, of course, is a guy that we've been tracking, and you've really been able, Leanne, to provide some background and some insight into his rise into college football from the high school ranks. And he is staying in the SEC.
He is staying in the SEC. Like I said, this is a talented wideout that I've had the opportunity to see develop from high school here out in Texas, all the way obviously to his time in Texas A&M. A really great story in the fact that he did plague injuries, but like you said, was able to end his career at Texas A&M with a nice high note. Definitely being a fixture during that final bowl game for the Aggies. But he is going to be heading, at no surprise, we talked about that he just recently made a visit to Georgia in the last couple days.
Go
Yeah,
right ahead.
a big win for the Georgia Bulldogs and Kirby Smart adding a talented pass catcher and wide receiver Noah Thomas. Like I said, this is a kid who's been a little bit plagued by injuries, but every time he's hit the field and the turf down in College Station for the Aggies, he definitely is a playmaker with big playmaking ability. Like I said, one of the things that's always stood out to me, aside from his tall frame, is obviously his long pass catch ability. I mean, just how he can, some of the catches that he can make. He definitely is one of those guys that can make those difficult catches. So I think this is going to be a great addition to the wide receiver room down in Athens.
Leanne, you did a nice breakdown the other day when we featured Rahsul Faison, a guy from Utah State who had a banner year with over 1,000 yards rushing, and he is making his way to the SEC.
He is making his way to the SEC. There's a lot of SEC suitors, obviously, that came in and were very much interested, but he just took a visit to South Carolina and Shane Beamer, and it looks like he's going to be joining that crew. So yes, another big addition for the Gamecocks down in South Carolina to be able to build. And I think that he's going to be, like you said, he had a really productive season. I think he's going to be another great asset for this running back room and Shane Beamer to really open up a lot of areas of that needed improvement for the Gamecocks this season. Again, yes, the rumblings, a guy that we've talked about. We just mentioned him. He's hot off the market out in SoCal. Like we said, SoCal's definitely finding its way. There's a lot of top players leaving, and USC added O lineman Emmanuel Pregnon as one of the guys who, unfortunately, he's been a staple there for the Trojans, but is looking to test the waters. We Colorado native. We talked about Ole Miss, definitely, possibly, trying to entice him to come down to Oxford. And we're hearing that there may be a possible visit in the very, very soon future. You just never know. We've seen a lot of situations where visits have been made and not made. So it's one of those things. And then we've also heard that Colorado was in the mix as well. And with that, those two haven't changed. But of course, with the popularity of the interior linemen, the offensive line guys being so high in this cycle of the portal, it should be no question that he's definitely going to have a lot more suitors. And we're hearing that Tennessee and definitely the Oregon Ducks are looking to get a visit, and we're hearing that Tennessee and Oregon are in really good shape to get visits here soon. So again, Emmanuel Pregnon, former USC offensive lineman, is definitely on the rise. Again, Ole Miss is definitely trying to address their offensive line issues, and he definitely could be an answer. But what we're hearing right now, that Tennessee and Oregon have the edge to get the visits.
So, also, folks, this show is not just about the news and the news updates, but we bring you some background based on Leanne's experience of where these players looked and where their recruiting visits took them and their offers took them during the recruiting process when they were moving from high school to college. And obviously, I watch a little bit of college football myself, and we track some of these players. So, for example, Matt Zemek, Trojans Wire, and myself did a breakdown on the USC transfer portal situation. 21 losses, 7 gained. And it's not just about the numbers. If you really look at the quality of losses, starting with an Emmanuel Pregnon, with a Miller Moss, with a Jaden Mayava, with their best wide receivers, Kyron Hudson, Zachariah Branch, of course, Zion Branch, and the losses have been significant at USC. We posted a segment on that over on the USC channel. And looking at this next situation, Leanne, this is something that you pointed out a few days ago. Again, it wasn't just about the list of NC State players. entering the transfer portal, because everybody's got portal players, but they were just stacked at one position, mostly starters, and then making that connection Leanne did to a coaching situation where the defensive coordinator spot has changed and how that possibly has impacted some decisions at NC State. And here we've got an update on Brandon Sissy.
Yep, another NC State corner, one of their top guys. Like we said, there was four key guys that they've lost to the secondary. Definitely look who are on the move. Again, we've heard obviously the rumblings of the new defensive coordinator down at North Carolina State. NC State hasn't really been a popular, and could have this been well for whatever reason, like we said, the comings and goings. But nonetheless, it's a tough loss for the Wolf Pack. But Brandon Sissy is one of those cornerbacks that's definitely getting hot in the SEC. He's fresh off a visit to Oxford, Ole Miss. Obviously, that Pete Golding is on the move right now. We're definitely seeing a lot more pickup because, of course, coaches are able to visit. They're able to host, not just with transfer recruits, but also with high school recruits. So we see a lot of coaches right now. That will be at some of these events, that will be, taking in these players, making a lot of visits. But yes, he's definitely going to be a top guy that a lot of people are looking. He's also set to visit, some other places, but we're hearing that South Carolina. So the opposite end of the Carolinas, Shane Beamer is definitely looking to hone in. We haven't heard an official word if he will be visiting South Carolina, but that's definitely a school to watch in his recruitment. And another key guy out of the NC State secondary. And that defensive thing, Tamarcus Cooley, he's a guy that has just, as soon as he hit the market, his phone was ringing off the hook. But he's been really efficient talking about, some of the schools that he was in. He was also in Oxford, while Brandon was in Oxford too. So this could be an interesting recruitment. Of course, by no means are these either of these athletes, have express that they are going as a package, but it also doesn't hurt, especially if you're Pete Golding, looking to add to some top secondary guys who definitely have a relationship on and off the field. That definitely is a big plus in recruitment. So both these guys were in Oxford, but again, a lot of guys are going after Tamarcus Cooley, and obviously Brandon as well. But both are fresh off visits to Oxford, so we will definitely keep you updated on those two recruits, because again, not saying that they're going to go as a package, but it could very well be something that some of these universities that are going to go after them might pitch to them. So this will be an interesting one to watch. But again, a big loss and for NC State if this remains true. And we're also hearing that Tamarcus Cooley, that there are rumblings, we haven't confirmed, that NC State might be trying to entice some of these guys back, like many of programs are. We've seen it. We've seen a few cases where it's worked, but right now it doesn't appear that the top guys from NC State secondary are looking to head back that way.
Fran Brown doing an exceptional job at Syracuse. His first season coming in as a defensive assistant at Georgia the previous year, 10-3 for Syracuse football, but maybe losing one of their top defensive linemen.
Yeah, Hughes is definitely he's become, this is kind of a new fresh story. It was kind of rumblings as I was here today during the Navy All-American. So I've been going back and forth between transfer portal and high school recruits. But yeah, Michael Nuakacha, Q's defensive lineman, has become a top ticket. He's heard from, made some visits to schools like Coastal Carolina. We haven't really heard any big schools. I don't have the list of offers. I had it written down on my notebook, but my notebook's across over there. So, he's hearing for some, some mid-major schools, but I would suspect that, LSU, some other fellow SEC schools, possibly some ACC schools, are going to be looking. Like I said, he's got a lot of upside. I think he can be a very good asset to the depth roster on a defensive line. And I think he would do really good in the trenches. So again, he's going to be an interesting one to watch. Like I said, he just popped in the portal this morning. And as these guys get their papers processed, and as we hear more rumblings, we'll definitely, like you said, Fran Brown has done a great job, building and bringing some really unique talent. I think that this kid will be one of those guys.
Leanne, I keep running through these names. And every time I go through another name, we see another name that we've been talking about for days and days and days, and looked at the numbers, looked at the stats, looked at the recruiting rankings when they came out of high school, and whether they've been productive at the college level or they've been playing deep on the depth chart and not able to break through, and what their story is and what their deal. Jeremiah Alexander, the top rated player, according to 247 Sports in the state of Alabama, top 5 edge rusher when he hit campus in Tuscaloosa, but really just not able to break through on the 2 deep for Alabama. And now he's going to try his talents at an old rival of Bama's that they used to meet in the playoffs quite a bit.
Yeah, he's gonna cross over to conference, and he's heading to the ACC and try his luck out there. In the other Death Valley, in Clemson, enjoying Dabo Swinney's crew again. He was as soon as he hit the portal, he was one of the most coveted edges, like you've talked about. Had a very lustrous career. As a high school recruit, was very highly touted. But again, like we've talked a lot about. As we have begun this portal show, Mark, it's been the storyline for many of these highly touted recruits coming out of high school, where they just really haven't found their footing, and haven't been had the opportunity to really showcase what they're doing. So it's really nice to see that Jeremiah Alexander, will finally maybe have his opportunity, not just changing to a new venue, but also to a new conference, to be able to help Dabo Swinney and that defensive you know roster improve, and finally have some time to maybe show and demonstrate what he can really do, and possibly live up to that highly touted resume that he had heading into Tuscaloosa. But now top edge Jeremiah Alexander switching conferences from the SEC to the ACC, heading to make Dabo Swinney smile. Hopefully, we've all talked about Dabo Swinney's love hate relationship with the portal, but it seems like he's finally going with the flow and making it work for him. So this is a great get for the Clemson Tigers.
I think it's finally a love-hate relationship. I think it was a hate-hate relationship for a long time between Dabo and the transfer portal. It was all hate, but he's coming around a little bit.
He's
He is
coming
definitely
around. I think he finally probably realizes that in order to keep up with the Joneses and keep competitive at some point, he's going to have to do that. And why not get it in it, like you said, in a top recruit that really hasn't had his opportunity to shine. So I've always seen in these type of cases where you get top athletes coming out of high school, and then they transition. Not really finding their footing, that often when they go to the right fit and the right team that can really um, allow them to develop, but also bring out their upside. A lot of dangerous things can happen, and this could be a great momentum changer on the defensive side of the ball for the Clemson Tigers.